Today on the channel, we return to Jada series Street Fighter, Ultra Street Fighter 2, the final challengers, Vega, on the way I got it figured.
The way I got it figured.
What's up, figure fans? Way I got it figured, back with another Jada Toys Ultra Street Fighter 2, the final challengers review. This time we're looking at Vega or Balrog in Japan, depending on what side of the pond you're on. And the Spanish ninja, I guess what they call them, is looking pretty dope. Was definitely looking forward to this one. I've heard that people say he seems like he's a little bit cheaper than the other figures in the line. I actually saw this today before shooting this video, so we're definitely going to put that to the test. I just don't think Jada is going to do something like that. I just doubt it, but we will see. We will see. So like I said, Vega, Balrog, depending on where you are, if you're calling Vega M. Bison Vega, then he's got to be Balrog, and then Balrog got to be M. Bison. So that's the switch. They didn't want M. Bison to make anybody think they were talking about Mike Tyson, even though the likeness is uncanny. So they switched up the names in America. In Japan, he's still M. Bison, not Balrog. So clear as mud, I know, but that's how it is. So to the character we will call Vega for the rest of this review, we're going to look at him, look at the packaging, get him out, and compare him with some other figures before getting you out of here with some final thoughts. So starting with the packaging, he is in the standard Street Fighter package. He's not a convention exclusive, although I believe his package is the same, is a different size than the other figures. I don't think he's in exactly the same size box. I can't really confirm that though, because I threw all of my boxes away. I don't keep the boxes, so can't really tell you for sure. But I'll hang on to this box until I get another regular size Street Fighter character. I am looking for the Blue Guile, for example. And if if I can find that, then I'll have a box to compare this one with in the near future. All right, so starting with the packaging, other than perhaps the oblong size, it is the same package, and Vega's looking pretty cool in there. Comes with the head, he comes with a mask, extra set of hands per every other character in the line. A broken claw and like a slash effect is in there for his claw attack. So there's that. That's pretty cool. Got his player select screen, standard art on the side. On the back, you got him in a pose, Spain, where he comes from. And we're closing in on getting this thing wrapped up with only 5 characters left to go, which are E Honda, Zangief, T Hawk, M Bison, or rather Balrog, and of course Akuba. So we're closing in, and according to Jada, they'll be all out, sometime by maybe summer of next year. So I expect an acceleration to occur here pretty soon, even though nothing else is up for pre-order. But I did pick him up at Big Bad Toy Store. So for that, sometimes I forget to mention where I get stuff, but I get things from the same place everybody else does. But we're going to get old Vega out and check him out. All right, so we've got Vega out of the package with all of his accessories. And interestingly enough, he does have, there's some interesting things going on with his accessories. I'll get to them in turn. So first off, he does come with this extra head, as all Street Fighter figures do. This ponytail though is removable. It's like very soft like rubbery plastic, and the ponytail is removable. I mean, I don't know why you would want to remove it, but you can remove it. However, what it really, I guess, boils down to is it's articulated, it's posable. I guess that's what the intent is. But I accidentally pulled the tail off, pulling it out of the package, so it does come off. Then he comes with a loose mask, but I don't think this mask is meant to go on his head, so to speak. I think it's just for him to like hold. You know, he has a wind pose where he holds the mask. So there's that. And he's got the gloved gripping hand with the sharp nails. Same with the ungloved hand, sharp nails. Then he's got the claw, but it's like the hand grab version of the claw. So it's like connected to his wrist, but you know, in Street Fighter 2, he definitely had it like on his hand. So you have that, and then you have the slashing effect, and we'll see how that works here in a bit. As far as Vega himself, he's looking pretty cool. He does have a little bit more muscular proportions, perhaps, than what you might think. If you're looking at it from strictly a Street Fighter 2 way of looking at it. But in Ultra Street Fighter 2, the sprites are redrawn to be more modern or alpha-ish, if you want to call it that. I don't want to call them alpha-ish, but they're redrawn to be like more modern, off of like Udon comics artwork. So he doesn't have the long gangly proportions that he had in the actual Street Fighter 2 games before they made Ultra Street Fighter 2 the final challenger. So there's that. I've seen people, saying they don't like his proportions, but his proportions are fine for the game that he's actually from. So looking at him a little bit closer up, everything looks pretty cool. He's got his soft goods sash. The This is molded onto his arm. You can kind of see, because from the paint standpoint, if you look below, it's not painted gold. That might be the first thing that I might consider to be a flaw or a paint job from Jada. Is that they painted the top? Oh no, they didn't. Yeah, so the bangle is not painted underneath the arm. Might want to, if you're really good with some touch-up paint, you might want to touch that up. You do not get a removable ponytail on the regular portrait. And the sash, underneath it just has pants on. I don't think I would remove it. Obviously, you could remove it, but I don't think I would. I don't see a reason to do that. But yeah, other than how they painted these bangles, I don't really see an issue. And so I will concede that perhaps just the way they painted the bangles, maybe the person who was online saying he seems a little bit cheaper in construction or execution, let's say, may have a point. I don't know. I mean, it looks great. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, you can see uh, where it's like flesh toned on top of this gold. So we're not gonna cover it up. It's there. So in terms of posability, he is of course superposable like the rest of the Jada Street Fighter line. Pretty deep butterflies there. Pretty good ab crunch. Going back about that far. Kicking back about that far. Kicking up about that far. Really nice ankle tilt forward. There you go. His boot cut is actually at his ankles. Swivel, of course. Looks down about that far. Looks up about that far. Which is pretty good. Getting him in a jumping pose is pretty easy. Kicking pose, pretty solid stuff there. Doing a little bit of head swappage. Opposing perspective, he looks pretty great there. Pose is really nice, and I am definitely a fan of that. So yeah, other from a posing standpoint, from an articulation standpoint, there is no drop off whatsoever. I don't feel like he's like cheaply made. I don't feel like that, but I gotta say the way they colored the bangles is probably not the best. I don't think that's the best. I really don't. I'm gonna try and see what we can do with this. Let's see if we have any interaction with that. So now you got the claw on there, pretty perfectly on there, like that. And then there are holes. You just gotta find them. There's holes for the slash effect, so it's on there. I am going to guess that I was just doing it wrong on the other set of hands. And indeed I was. So it does go on there. You just gotta stick the edge of the blades inside. There's very small, obviously translucent holes, and that's where they go. So you can do it either way. But honestly, I kind of like it with the kind of clawed hand. I may let him have the fisted hand on the non-gloved hand. I kind of like that. Here we have with a pretty cool Japanese-ish pose, holding his little mask, and he definitely looks pretty cool no matter what. No matter how you pose him. When you do him something like this, it's a little bit easier to overlook the non-coloring on some of the bangles, just because of how I have them posed, but it is definitely there. So next we're going to get some comparisons for Vega. All right, so kicking off our comparisons, we got some, let's call them standard size Street Fighter figures. We got Ryu and Chun-Li, and he is, considerably taller than they are. Next up, we'll bring in M. Bison or Vega, depending. And while M. Bison is taller than Ryu, he's still significantly shorter than Vega. And we've got Blanca. Blanca is not standing, fully. He's not standing like straight up. So I would say he's probably about the same size as Vega, except he's still much larger because of his bulk. And finally, we're going to do of course, the not too often mentioned by me. I don't think I mentioned it very much, but the Shadowloo bosses, the ones we have so far. Of course, we're still missing Balrog, but we'll obviously be getting that soon enough. And as big as Vega is, he's, overshadowed by Sagat. So here you go. There's your comparisons. So we're going to move on to final thoughts. Final thoughts on Jada Toys Ultra Street Fighter 2, the final challengers, Vega. I think he's pretty good. I think he's great. But I do have to say that, they could have painted those bangles better. So Vega is going to be the first Jada Toys figure that I'm going to give a 9 to rather than a 10. I mean, he's still a great figure. Everything's awesome about him. His posability, he can stand, he can do all the cool stuff that you normally can do with Jada Toys figures. I don't think from a construction standpoint he's like quote unquote cheaply made or anything like that. But he is just slightly less well painted. And hey, we're talking about a $20-$30 figure. He's not $50 or something like that. So it kind of is one of those is what it is things. But they've done such a great job painting everything else. I do find it to be just a little weird. Like I have on my Ryu, for example. This is an original Ryu. If you look at his glove, it's painted all the way around his arm. It's like all the way around. So we know they can do it. But on the other hand, on his other arm, there is a slight paint imperfection on one of his gloves. So, it's kind of 50-50, I guess. I mean, it's literally 50-50 on my Ryu. So I don't want to dock him too hard for that. I am super satisfied with the Street Fighter product that Jada's been putting out. But, I don't know. You got to paint the bangles. I just feel like they should be painted better. I can't pretend like I'm satisfied with that. So he'll be a 9, and I'm cool with that. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the new subscribers. We're gonna keep it up. We're going to continue to bring you some of the coolest toys and action figures that we can get our hands on for these reviews, and hopefully you will continue to support us. Join the revolution, so to speak. That's going to do it for this one. Till the next video, everybody stay safe. Happy collecting. See you on the next one. Peace.
The way I got it figured.